It's Gina DePrima, and you're listening to Divorce with Heart. We merge heart wisdom and legal expertise to guide you along your divorce and co-parenting journey. Hey, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's Monday, May 14th, 1 o'clock here on the Eastern side, and it's episode 6, Divorce with Heart. And today we are going to be diving into courage. Courage. I want to talk all about courage and why you need it, why I believe that it is such an important trait to have and to develop, especially while you're going through big transitions in your life, heartache, heartbreak, divorce, separation. It's so important. I mentioned it, I think, on one of the earlier episodes, how courage is one of the necessary traits or qualities, maybe I should say, qualities of being this warrior of peace. And that's really what we're talking about here, right? We're talking about changing the paradigm, doing divorce and breakups different, and doing it in a way that really comes from the heart, generates peace, generates more harmony, for everyone's sake, for your sake, for your children's sake, for everyone's sake. So courage is an essential piece of the puzzle, or the quality to that warrior of peace. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And I'm hoping to take some calls. Please give me a call. The number is 1-760-456-7277. And I would just love to hear your voice. Don't be shy. Even if you're like, oh, I don't know what to say, I don't have a question. That's all right. Give me a call. Say hi. Send me some love. Let's connect. Maybe you just have an idea of a topic that you want me to explore. Give me a call. We can talk about it. That reminds me, I really want to start incorporating into this program a segment called basically the Spotlight series. And this is going to be all about you, or maybe it's someone you know. Maybe it's you. You've been through a challenge. You've been through this before. And there's things that you did that really worked out well, and things that you did that didn't work out so well, but now you're in a better place now, and you've got the story to share so that you can help other people do what you did, learn and grow through your experience. So that would be somebody, if it's you, that I would really just love to spotlight. Or, maybe it's not you, but it's someone you know, or there was a professional that you just really found to be really helpful and aligned to the mission of what we're all about here, which is getting through the heartache and the heart pain with grace and dignity, and in a way that promotes peace. So maybe it was a lawyer you worked with, or a mediator, or a coach, somebody else. Let me know. I'd love to reach out to them and bring them on and spotlight them as well, so we can really grow this movement. So it's easy. Just go to the Facebook group, Divorce with Heart, send me a message. Let me know if you're interested, or maybe there's somebody else that you're thinking of. And let's do this. Let's do this together. Let's grow this movement. Let's hear from you. The more people talking, the greater I think the awareness will be. And the more we can all learn, because it's a shared experience after all, right? So, okay, I think that handles my housekeeping. So courage. Okay, courage. It's interesting because where I started in preparing for today is I said, you know what? Let's go back to the dictionary. What is the definition of courage? Because I think we all know what it is, but sometimes it's fun just to see what comes up when you Google it. So I did that. And courage, it says, is the ability to do something that frightens one, right? So right there, we know it's about overcoming fear. And so much of what we go through when our heart is hurting and we're transitioning in life um, is all about overcoming that fear. Because let's face it, you're at a crossroads, and the future is unknown, largely unknown. All you know is what you've experienced from the past to the present. So fear creeps in the way at almost every turn. So courage, the ability to do something that frightens one, getting over that fear, I'd say. It's having strength. This is back to the dictionary, strength in the face of pain or grief. And that's what this is, right? When you're going through a divorce, you've been married 17 years, even if you're only married 5 years, maybe 3, it doesn't matter. You made a promise. There was a vow. You trusted and you believed with all your heart and every ounce of your being that that person was going to be your partner for life, right? You believed wholeheartedly that that person was going to stand by you for life, thick and thin, ups and downs, challenges, happiness, sadness. And here you are. It's not happening, right? That leaves people feeling broken. There's broken promises, hurt, because what the heck? You promised me, right? You promised me you'd be the one. You'd take care of me forever. I trusted you. I trusted you to be the one, and now you're not the one. So that is so hard. And that is what we're going through. Like I said, no matter what, no matter how long you were together, that's part of the feeling that's being generated. That's the pain. That's the grief that you're experiencing. But to get through it, and to get through it to the other side in a way that's going to be better for you, because it's going to be generating more peace, better outcomes, more harmony, right? You need to have this courage. And this is the part when I said it's interesting. This is what I found to be so interesting, because I talk about, leading from the heart. That's why it's divorce with heart. We're trying to inject heart back into the equation, put it back into the situation, even though you feel like it's broken and it's pulverized was coming to mind, but you feel broken. It's easy to maybe turn on the heart and lock it up and never want to go there again. But I'm saying don't do that. My philosophy, what we talk about here, is don't do that. It's about staying in tune to your heart, bringing it in, and continuing to follow and live your life from that place so that you can generate a life reflective of those kinds of things, right? Loving, kindness, compassion, harmony, all of that stuff. So when you look at the word courage in the dictionary here in a Google search, it's funny because it actually comes from originally the Latin word cor, C-O-R, meaning heart. And then from there it went to Old French, and now our Middle English, they call it, which is courage. So it's actually denoting the heart. It's denoting the feelings. Courage itself is seated in the heart. And I thought, wow, isn't that something? Isn't that incredible? Because, I didn't know that until I went and I looked it up. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about having the strength to stand up and to be different, right? In the face of your pain and your grief, and doing things even though you might be scared to do it. And all of that has to come from the heart. That's the root of the word encourage. It has to come from your heart. So, the reason why I'm so inspired to bring this conversation to you is because, I, like everybody else, well, I shouldn't say everybody, I don't know everybody, but a lot of people, right? We learn easiest through our mistakes. We learn from things that don't go well, right? And so I can tell you that in my practice, as a divorce attorney, as an attorney that represents kids, as a parent coordinator. I wear all these different hats, but at the end of the day, I'm involved with you. I'm involved with families, and I'm involved with families when they are going through big transitions in their life. Okay. And what I see happening a lot is, having this desire to reach an agreement or a resolution, or, the quote unquote, let's do this amicably. I want to be amicable about it. People have this ideal, this goal, this desire in mind. But then what happens too often is that in this pursuit of this end goal of an agreement or a resolution, something gets in the way. And what gets in the way is this idea of punishment. And it becomes sort of this unconscious pursuit of punishment under the guise of, let's make an agreement, let's resolve this, let's be amicable. And you may not think of it as punishment, because punishment, I guess, it's kind of a strong word, but it really is. It comes from this place of, feeling like it's not fair. It's not fair. What you did to me is not fair. What you're doing is not fair. I trusted you, and you broke that trust. You broke that promise. You were supposed to be here forever. I thought this was going to be forever, right? And because of that, it's like the subtle thing, the subconscious thing, you've got to pay. I'm hurting, so you need to hurt. I'm in pain, so you should be in pain, because it's not fair to have it any other way. And that's how this sort of subtle underlying pursuit of kind of punishment, if you will, or it could be couched in the terms of justice, right, creeps in to the story. And the problem is that when this is there, okay, this is what causes you to continue in that bad feeling state, to continue in that angry, get even, I'm hurting kind of state. And when you're there, that's when you're going to find yourself rejecting offers that might be very reasonable, wanting to fight for every last penny, wanting to know exactly what you're entitled to, and not wanting to be flexible in any way at all whatsoever, regardless of how logical it may be or not. This is when you start to really act unreasonable, and you don't realize it. You don't realize it. People do not realize it, because the pain is so much that it almost takes over the good functioning in our brains, I think. It's hard to act logical and rational and reasonable in that moment when you're feeling that way. So you keep on thinking about how it's unfair or it's angry, and then that's going to keep on generating your actions and your choices, and it's all going to be built around that continued theme. I can't trust him. I don't trust me, or maybe you do. Maybe you don't want to admit that, but I think a lot of people that I talk to have lost a little bit of trust or a little bit of faith. They blame themselves. There's a lot of shame that comes with the heartache. So it's there that you get into this thing of, okay, he's got to hurt, she's got to hurt, jump through every hoop, right? First. And it's there that litigation gets dragged out. It's more expensive. And it's a lose-lose situation. It doesn't help you to overcome anything. Because what's happening is it's kind of like that pursuit of punishment ends up driving the bus, even though you want to have a good relationship, you want to have a good co-parenting relationship, you want to have an amicable, peaceful divorce, you want the father involved in your children's lives, right? Oh, he's a great dad. You want all of these things. You'll say all of these things, but underlying that sometimes is this sort of, need, if you will, for revenge. This, not fair. Punishment. Okay. And all that does, like I was saying, is it continues the pain. I mean, this is really, it's a universal truth, right? It's a universal truth. Your thoughts are going to lead to your choices, your actions, your behavior, and your mood. So when you're thinking from that place and you're feeling from that place, that's how you're showing up in your relationship. That's how you're showing up in the world. That's how you're relating to your soon-to-be ex or your ex. And then what's happening is that's where you now are creating a responsive action. If you think about it like cause and effect in some sense, then you sort of become the cause. He or she and how they respond to you then is the effect, and so on it goes. It's this cyclical relationship of pain and power struggles, and anger and frustration. And it's all based on, or rooted, I think, in that hurt, rooted in that lack of trust, that broken promise, right? That I think we all share when we're heartbroken. So the solution is finding courage and having courage. You need to have the courage now, right? Better late than never, I suppose, with most things. But you need to have the courage to stand up and do something different. Stand up and be a different person. Have the courage to stand up and go against the grain, go against the norm, go against, what you may be comfortable with. Do things that you're not comfortable with. Do things that you're not familiar with, which might just be not being as reactive, not being as responsive. You've got to look at how were you being in the past? Who was the person that you were in relationship, okay, that has brought you to the point and the place where you are today? And you have to then be willing to have the courage to take a chance and do something different, no matter what the result could be. And that's a very scary thing, but nothing good in life comes, I don't think, without having the courage. Nothing new is created without having courage. Nothing new is discovered without having courage. Think about it. Any new inventor who brought us anything worthwhile in this world, they had to go against the grain. They had to hear people tell them every day, probably, oh, you're crazy. That's a ridiculous idea. That'll never make money. That's never going to help us. All of these things. Now look at where we are. Where would we be if Bill Gates thought that and didn't have courage, right? Where would we be? I'm just thinking about all these like Thomas Edison, or where would we be if we didn't have the presidents, having courage to do something different. Just think about it in your own way, in your own terms. Any great leader, any great movement, anything that has ever changed something, been new, a new creation has to come from courage first. Okay. Sorry, I guess I'm going off on a big tangent there. Where was I? Let's see. Okay, so in showing up here and going through your divorce with courage, that's going to mean doing things you're not comfortable with. What am I talking about? I'm talking about showing up differently, showing up even though maybe you're being faced with some hostility, some aggression, some rudeness, some sarcasm, some whatever it is that the other person is doing, right? You're not going to respond like that. You're going to show up different. You're going to show up with love, compassion, kindness, forgiveness, peace. I know these are huge loaded words, but they're really all qualities of the heart. They're all in you. They're all a part of you, within you, and they're there for you to reach in, grab them, and just be willing and courageous enough to embrace it, instead of the easy way, which is responding with the ego, responding in anger, responding with frustration, responding with arguments, right? Because all that does is perpetuate the cycle. And of course, there may be a time. I know that I have tons of clients that experience this, where they're going to feel like a fool. They're going to feel like a fool for doing this. How can I do this? Or they're going to feel like a doormat, right, for doing this, because that's what their mother said, or that's what their father said, or their friends, their best friend can't understand why they're being so quote unquote nice or reasonable or flexible. Right. So you're going to hear it from the people that are closest to you, and they might criticize you. They might make you feel like a fool. They might judge you behind your back. Okay. And how do you deal with that? Again, only with courage, only with strength, only with knowing and believing in yourself and where you want to go. What your vision is, what that relationship is that you're trying to create, and in believing in that more than the fear. And I can tell you, expect it. Expect to be judged. Maybe if you expect it, it takes the blowout, because you can just say, well, if they're judging me and criticizing me or saying these things, then you know what? I must be doing a damn good job of doing things different. And that's okay, because that needs to be your commitment if, in fact, you are trying to create a better relationship than what you had, and a better experience for you and your kids in the future than what you had. And, I would assume that if you're getting a divorce or you're going through a breakup or any, different variations of that, we do that because we think it's going to be better. Because if it wasn't, we'd stay in the situation, right? So, the peanut gallery, your friends, your family, your coworkers, your attorney, maybe even, you might hear it all from them. They may not understand. Okay. And they're going to be advocating, things that are really closer to fighting anger with anger, right? Meeting anger with anger and frustration. And to me, and in my opinion, and maybe this, maybe you disagree, I don't know, but I think that's foolish. I think it's absolutely foolish. You cannot meet anger with anger and expect it to go away. It's like trying to put out a fire with fire. I mean, it's impossible. So you just cannot overcome anything, right? By being, I think, exactly the same as that which you are trying to overcome. You just can't. So energetically, emotionally, you can't just take a situation that drives you crazy, makes you frustrated, makes you upset, and throw at that situation the same kind of energy, the same kind of, frustration, anger, attitude, you fill in the blank. I hope you understand what I'm saying. It's just, it doesn't work, right? So, let's just look at an example. You're aggravated, you're annoyed, it's not fair. There's a child support order in place and it's supposed to be paid, and it's a simple order. I mean, why can't you just follow it, right? I'm sure you're thinking all of this, just pay the child support on time. And as there's delays in your payment, and maybe it's by a day, who knows, but it just irritates you. It irritates you and it percolates in you, and it just builds and it bubbles up until you're just so annoyed and you just can't stand it. You're calling your lawyer and you're talking to your lawyer, and now you're hashing it out with your lawyer, right? Or maybe it's the fact that, he or she is always late in dropping the kids off. It's the same thing. The kids get there. Sure, they get there eventually, but they're late, and it's irritating the hell out of you. And it's making you angry and it's making you annoyed and it's not fair. And you go and you call your lawyer and you hash it out with your lawyer. Well, every time, and I'm not suggesting don't call your lawyer, but every time that you are rehashing these things that are making you angry and frustrated, whether it's because you're calling your lawyer or your best friend or your mother or your father, every time that you're doing that, what you're doing is you're taking the anger and the frustration of the situation, and it's like you're multiplying that energy level. It's like you're multiplying that vibe, right? Because now that's what you're transmitting. That's exactly what you're throwing at it. So you're throwing a situation that is annoying and frustrating, and he's angry. That's why maybe he's doing these things to you, just to push your buttons. And then you're throwing at it the same kind of energy. So you're going to keep getting the same kind of thing. You're just going to keep being engaged in this power struggle. You're not throwing at it this heartfelt energy, right? More of an energy of peace, more of an energy of understanding, maybe compassion, right? And it's funny because I know that that's what you want. I know that that's what you want. That's what we all want when we're in this place. We want the relationship to be better if we have a co-parent, right? Because we know we're going to be parenting with them. It's got to be better. It has to be better for us and for our kids. So you want to build this harmony, but yet you're not treating the situations that are arising with this responsive energy of harmony or peace or understanding. And then it's like you're expecting to get something different, right? And then, so that's what I'm saying. That's the old paradigm. That's what's happening. That's what's not working. That's why we need to have courage to stand up and do something different. Okay. Because again, it's a universal truth, right? It's the law of attraction. Like attracts like. Angry energy attracts angry acts, right? It produces angry emotions. It produces you to act out in ways that are going to generate more anger from the other side, and so on and so forth. So the way around it, the way to actually get to that place of something better, is by making that choice and by making that commitment, a commitment to yourself to rise above that low level, low energy crap, the mud, right? Rise above it. Make it your mission. Make it your mission to know exactly what you want on the other side of this transition and to create it with every part of your being. And know in your heart that that's what you need. You need your heart and you need courage. And courage comes from the heart. And you need the courage because it takes great courage just to even do that first step, just to look at yourself, just to look at yourself in the mirror and be willing to not see the victim, not see the victim. And what I mean is, take a look at yourself in the mirror, take a look at the situation, take a look at your relationship and wonder or question and see yourself as having contributed to the situation that you're now dealing with. Because none of us are immune. We're all acting and reacting off of each other. So we're contributing and creating situations together all the time, like it or not, consciously or unconsciously. That's what's happening. So it's super easy to always point the finger at the other person and, all of the ways that it's their fault for what's going on, right? That's super easy to do. That comes sort of like, second nature, I feel like. It's not easy to look at yourself and say, oh, wow, oh my God, I can see here. I can see what I did, what I didn't do. I can see where I didn't speak up for myself, or I didn't share myself. I could see where I wasn't honest. It takes a lot of courage to do that, to really look at how you've co-contributed, co-created that situation. So that's one. It takes courage just to do it. And then to think, okay, so how can I change it? How can I change who I've been? How can I be somebody different? How can I act differently? Again, you need the courage to do that, to act from your heart and not from your head. You need a lot of courage to do that, like I said, because most people that are quote unquote on your side are probably going to be rooting for you to act from your head. Okay. But the greatest rewards are in acting from your heart. And it's hard to do. It's not easy. It's not easy because it's not second nature. It's extremely challenging to try to meet anger with kindness, right? Meet somebody who's not flexible with flexibility. That's so challenging, but I also know that it can be done. It can be done. And if you commit to it because you know what kind of life you're trying to create on the other side, you can do it. And it's important that you remember, that these things take time, that you are going to continue to need to build up the strength and build up the courage to continue to fight your fight as a warrior of peace. Because even when you start acting this way, odds are you're not necessarily going to get back a loving response. Not right away. I mean, that's just how it is. You might be lucky and you might get it back. But I think a lot of times, there's a delay. It's like a delayed reaction because I think it takes time for the energy to build up. It takes time for there to be momentum. It takes time for the other side to trust this new person that you're being. Okay. So you might find yourself acting from your heart, acting with great courage, showing up differently, responding to things that frustrate you with kindness and understanding and compassion rather than continuing the power struggle. And you may not get the exact result you want. And I'm going to tell you, do it anyways. Keep going, and keep doing it anyways. Okay. And to think about it like every time you choose a different step, every time you take action different from what it was in the past, heartfelt action, it's like you're making a deposit into like this good vibe bank account, right? And so you're just building the vibe. And as it grows, you're getting closer and closer to the relationship and the future that you're wanting to experience. And all of those good vibes are going to come flowing back to you. They will. They just will. Again, it's a universal truth. They're going to flow back to you. And it may or may not be a direct relationship one-on-one with your spouse, okay, or your soon-to-be ex. It may not be. They got their own issues. They got their own lessons and their own plan here in this life, okay? But it will flow back to you. It might flow back to you in terms of you just having support, more support around you, more friends, family members on your side. I don't know, but it will be there for you. So stay the course. Stay the course. Ignore the judgments that you may be hearing. Stay the course and stay true to yourself and your desire and your commitment for a more peaceful, harmonious future. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to take a look at some more typical, types of examples or pain points, triggers, that's a good word. Take a look at some triggers and explore some different responses to those triggers. So, and if you give me a call, we can explore your specific situation and see how maybe courage could help bring you through that. So stay with me. We're going to look at it a little more specifically when we get back. Thanks. Hey there, it's Gina. If you like what you hear, did you know that you can get even deeper and closer to your heart's wisdom and receive personal one-on-one guidance by working with me virtually? If you're sick of drowning in frustration and overwhelm and ready to flow through your divorce and co-parenting challenges, then go to my website and book a call with me. That's deprima.com, DEPRIMA law.com. Or you can find me on Facebook at Deprima Law. Talk to you soon. Some of you have questions about your partnership, marriage, or co-parenting situation. I'm here for you. Give me a call in today's live episode by dialing the U.S. number 1-760-456-7277. That's 1-760-456-7277. Talk to you soon. All right, thank you. We're back. We're going to look at some of those triggers. And I realize that I kind of already riffed on some of them here earlier on, because I tend to do that. I've got my notes and then I just go with the flow. I just go with whatever's coming to me. So, but anyhow, let's look at this. Here's a trigger. And I hear this a lot. It's the not sticking to the times in the access schedule, right? I mean, your time is supposed to be 7 o'clock, drop off. And are the kids ever there at 7 o'clock? Not always, right? 7:15, 7:30, no call, no text. I mean, that's what some of you are dealing with. And it's frustrating. It is so frustrating. I understand that, because it's like there's an order and it's simple and it should be followed, and it's good when it's followed so we can all be on the same page. So what do you do about it? How can you respond in a different way? How can you have courage to respond in a different way? And instead of responding with the anger and the frustration that you're feeling in that moment, right? Respond with some more patience and understanding. Well, I think let's get into it. Let's try to explore what's really going on there. All right. Maybe, and I'm going to say he, it could be she, but just for the sake of keeping it simple, he's doing this. He's not showing up. Well, maybe he is just doing it just to jerk you around, just to kind of show you who's boss. Again, it's like this power struggle that's going on. Maybe he's at the point where he feels like, and a lot of men do, I'm going to tell you, because still, although rights have come a long way and men are a lot closer to being equal and having equal rights to women, I think there's still a favoritism there for women, especially when it comes to parenting. The gap's not as big as it was, but it's still there. So maybe he feels, like he's got to fight for the upper hand, or he's got to fight just to be even with you or equal with you in status as a parent. And he feels that he is equal in status as a parent. Maybe he feels like, it's just not right. And he's sick and tired of you telling him what to do or when he can and can't have the kids. And I'm not saying that that's what you do. I'm talking from his perspective here. I think that's how a lot of men feel about this in this situation. It's like they feel like, look, these are my kids too. And now you're going to tell me when I can and can't have them and what I can and can't do with them and, how to be with them. You never told me any of this before. And how is that fair? And how is that right when they're my children too and I love them? So, I think in showing up late, it's sort of like this attempt to exert some kind of power over the situation. So a better way to respond, I think, one, recognize it. Try to put yourself in his shoes. Just try it. You don't have to agree with it, but put yourself in his shoes and try to imagine what it would be like if you were him and you're out of the house and the kids are with the other parent, you, right, most of the time. And everybody's telling you, oh, you can only see him on Wednesdays from 4 to 7. And, make sure you do this, that, and the next thing with them. You're going to feel minimized, right? You're probably going to feel minimized as a parent. It's not going to feel good. So I think maybe a better response, moms, women out there, these great warriors, goddesses, warriors of peace, respond with that understanding. Respond with being patient. Understand that it's not easy to have to go to the house that, maybe you're still paying the mortgage on. It's not easy to have to go there, honk the horn, and wait for your kids to come out, spend some time with them, and then drop them back off. C'est la vie, life goes on. That's not an easy place to be. So maybe instead of getting so incredibly frustrated with the late drop-offs, sort of find this place and have some peace about it. Know that, you know what, this is temporary. This is temporary. Okay. Everybody's going through changes, and this is not an easy process for anyone. And try to have then that compassion and that understanding of where the other person's coming from. And maybe you let it slide then. Let it slide, right? The kids are still coming home. They're still coming home. So relax. They're okay. They're okay. Now, you could say gently and nicely something along the lines, or a text, could you please text me if you're going to be late? That way I'm not worried, because let's face it, that's probably normal. When you were together, you probably would have thought the same thing, and you can remind the person of that, say, look, you know how my mind is. I'm going to worry that, maybe there's an accident or something going on. So can you just let me know if you're going to be late, right? Go back to that as being your perspective or your posture, instead of you're supposed to do this and you're not on time. And okay, I hope you get a sense of the subtle difference. If not, message me. Let's talk about it in the Facebook group, because it is a very subtle difference. Okay. Here's another trigger that happens a lot in the immediate sense when people are going through this breakup. It's all about food. Okay. I hear this so often. Like, what the heck? Why is it that every time he has the kids, all they're eating is pizza? Pizza, 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 hot dogs, pizza, fast food. That's what it is. Burger King all day long, right? Like, that's it. And that's frustrating. I know that's frustrating. It's frustrating because when you have the kids, for the balance of the week, you're doing your damnedest to try to put a well-rounded, balanced meal on the table. Or if you are rushing around, then, maybe you're going to a place that's a little healthier, a Subway or something, right? Or maybe you took the time to go to the grocery store and pick up some things that you knew that you could just fix really super quick, or was already prepared. So you're taking the time to do that. You're trying to advocate and teach your kids about good nutrition and, what they put in their body really matters. And here, the other parent during his time could care less, doesn't do that, right? And it infuriates you, and it undermines, you feel like it undermines everything that you're doing. Well, again, let's look at it different. You could respond with arguing. You could respond with criticism. You could respond with accusations. You could respond in all of those ways. But again, what are you going to get? You're going to fight anger. You're going to fight a negative situation with anger. It's not going to help you. You will not overcome the situation. Okay. Gosh, this just reminded me of something else I read somewhere. Love is the only thing that can tame the beast. That's it. Think about it. Beauty and the Beast, right? It's true. It's true. So don't fight fire with fire. Okay. Instead, again, try to find some patience and some understanding of where he's coming from. Maybe he's only got a couple hours with the kids, and it was hard enough for him to rush around and pick them up from all the various places, get them to all their various activities. And I know now there's got to be homework too. And sometimes it's just too much. It's just too much, and it's stressful. And let's face it, he's not really operating from, the best place either, because he's hurting too. This is a big transition and a big change for everybody, like I said. So again, I'd say find that patience, find that understanding, and maybe you respond instead by cutting in some slack. Maybe that's a better way to respond, just in the temporary interim period, okay? Because it isn't going to go on forever. People will settle down. They'll settle down. And after all, maybe your kids will start telling them, I'm sick and tired of pizza, right? That happens too. So one way that you can find the courage to stand up and act differently is to first look at the situation and try to see it from the other person's perspective. Try to experience it from their point of view, what they're going through, and see if in doing so, you can generate some more compassion and some understanding, and throw that at the situation. Throw that at the situation instead. Okay. And I would be willing to bet that it'll get better, that he'll start showing up on time. He'll eventually start feeding them better. Okay. Because, especially when somebody's doing this to push your buttons, they're not going to get a charge off of it anymore. It's not going to do anything from them anymore. If you're not reacting with anger or hostility or showing that you're angry, right, then they're not going to do it anymore. They're just going to stop. They're eventually going to stop because it doesn't do anything for them. Okay. I know in some ways it might seem counterintuitive, but trust me when I tell you that it works. And even if it doesn't work in his particular behavior, in these examples, that behavior doesn't change again. It's the good vibe bank account. It's going to flow back to you. It's going to flow back to you anyways. Okay. So keep going, because even if you don't see it as a change from him, you're taking the pressure and the stress off your kids by not responding with that continued sort of anger that could be there. Okay. So keep going and stay the course. All right. Now here's something that might help you as you sort of play with this concept a little bit, and that's the idea of having a mantra being just something that you can anchor back to in that moment. In that moment when all you want to do is scream or send off that nasty text or email or whatever it is, say something that you're going to regret or act in a way that you're going to regret, have something that you can anchor back to. Okay. And in thinking about this topic and having courage to change, courage to be different, courage to show up with a more positive response, remember your commitment. Maybe that could be your mantra, that I am committed to change, that I am committed to growth, and I have the courage to be different. Try that one on. Say it to yourself with conviction. If it doesn't feel right to you, then certainly I invite you to have one that does feel right. But it's nice to have something that you can anchor back to. So explore that. And if you really want to get deep into this courage, which again, I really believe that it's absolutely essential. It's absolutely essential if you want to get through this transition with more grace, with more ease, if you want to have a stronger, healthier family on the other side, kids that aren't screwed up because of the divorce, right? If you want all of those things, you want confidence, you want to trust yourself again. I know all of that. If you want all of those things, then you've got to have the courage to change who you are and who you've been in that relationship. So take time to examine it. Again, I know it can be scary, but take the time. Look at it. Look at all of the situations. Pull out your journal, go through it, and write it down. Write down everything that's been triggering you. Okay? Write down the feelings, how you feel when you're getting triggered. Okay? And when you're doing that, also ask yourself, okay, and sort of look at yourself like you're outside of yourself too. So go through, write it all down. What's really frustrating you? How is it making you feel? Really get into the emotions, write it all down, and then step outside of yourself too. And when you step outside of yourself and you're seeing yourself, and it's like watching the movie of your life unfold here, right? See how you're acting. What are you doing? What are you saying? What is the energy that you're bringing to the situation? How is it that you are contributing to the situation? See what you get. Write it all out. And ask yourself, what is it that you're afraid of? What is it that you're afraid of? What do you think is going to happen if you don't do something to try to control the situation? What do you think is going to happen if they eat Burger King every time they're with dad? What are you afraid of? What's going to happen if they show up 15 minutes late? every time. So really get into it. And then here's the kicker. And some of you listen to our wonderful producer, Summer, and you're into the flow dreaming, which I know that I was. Summer helped me tremendously. This comes from her. Challenge yourself to be wrong, right? That's what Summer says. Be wrong. Be wrong about it. So when you're going to look at all these possibilities and you're thinking about, everything that you're afraid of and everything that's going to happen if you don't do something. Well, what if you're wrong? What if you're wrong? Think about it. There's an infinite number of possibilities to outcomes in this world. And you're only looking at it from one small little sliver of perspective. So imagine you're wrong, okay? And maybe it's okay that they're having the Burger King, because maybe they're going to realize that they hate Burger King and they're going to then become vegetarians, and then that's going to be better and they're going to save animals, or I don't know. Okay. Just it goes on and on. The point is it could be anything. So then take some new steps. Write down what you're going to do. What steps are you going to take so that now you can show up different, okay, in response to these triggers? How are you going to show up different? How are you going to send out some more loving energy, some peaceful energy, some energy that's going to be more generative of harmony and respect, right? Because that's what's going to benefit you in the end, and that's what's going to benefit your kids. And this step is super, super, super important. And I got to admit that I fail at this stuff a lot myself. You've got to look at your successes. Look at your successes, journal your successes, notice, what's happening for you. Because again, it's so easy to look at everything that's wrong or everything that's upsetting us and not going right. And really that's where we learn. Everybody learns from mistakes, right? We see what's bad. We don't want to repeat the bad. So we figure out how to act different or be different so we're not repeating the same, right? So look at where you're successful. Look at how you, and just changing your own position, just changing your own energy and just who you are and what you're bringing to the situation. Look at what is coming of that in a positive way. And again, don't just look at the other person and their responses. Look at your kids. How are they doing? How are they feeling? Are they feeling extra stressed? Or maybe they're feeling more at ease, They're not feeling that pressure of, oh my God, we're in the car and we're 15 minutes late and my mom's going to be so upset. And when we get home, she's going to be anxious and upset. And what do I do? And this is so terrible. I mean, it's just not right, and that's what kids experience. So maybe you'll see your successes with a kid who's a little more relaxed and a little more at ease. So that's it. I mean, think about it. Think about courage. Think about what it means to you and how you can stand up through this period in your life and have the courage to be different and to do different so that you in the end can have a different result, right? And let's talk about it. Again, I mean, message me through the Facebook page. That'd be awesome. Let's get the conversation going. Let me know how you're doing with sort of this exercise that I just laid out for you. See if it helps. Or, maybe you've realized some ways that you can be a little more considerate and a little more understanding and patient, maybe afford a little more slack. Maybe you play with that a little bit over the week. Message me. Let me know how it works out for you. I'd love to hear it. Love to hear it. Right. And show ideas. You can message me some show ideas. That's what this is about. We're in this together. And I think the best product is going to come when we're all working together. So let's do that. Again, remember the spotlight stories if you have a short story to share. Sorry. And as always, if you liked what you heard here today, please leave me a rating on iTunes or visit the Inflow page, Inflow Radio webpage. Send me some love there. I'd love to hear from you. Private message. Any way that you feel comfortable reaching out, because I know that in dealing with these issues of the heart, a lot of times people need their privacy, we'll say. And that's okay. Reach out to me anyways. Just let me know that you don't want me to ever mention your name. Okay? So I really hope that you have a beautiful week. Next week, we're going to get a little more lawyerly. We're going to talk about the different ways to get a divorce. So I'll see you then. Have a great week. Thank you so much for joining me today. Come back next week and be sure to visit my website at dprimalaw.com to book a call, or let's connect on Facebook at dprimalaw, where you can join my group for more support. Please remember that the information shared is for general and entertainment purposes only, and that by calling in or messaging me, we are not creating an attorney-client relationship, and my advice is not intended to be legal advice. For specific legal advice, please contact a lawyer in your jurisdiction.
This show is brought to you by inflowradio.com, the best curated talk radio network for personal development, wellness, spirituality, and conscious business.